Are you ready? Call your mama, call your papa, call your friends. The festivities are about to begin. Boom!
Boom. What's the word? Well, the word is happy. Cinco de Mayo. Everybody. Happy Cinco de Mayo. That's all I have to say. The doors are open in the Daily Boom Discord server. If anybody would like to join, click and join. Yes, a little bit of background noise. Washing machine going crazy. A little fan I got here, giving me a little bit of air to breathe because it's very hot in Florida, USA. Yeah. So it might be a little bit of a hot mic, but let it be hot mic until and if anybody join, then I'll mute myself. In the meanwhile, we'll let the mic open. It's slightly earlier than other days, a little earlier than usual. Why? Because I'm gonna go to the movie theater later, 3 something in the afternoon. It's 11:30 in the morning. I don't know how long I'm gonna do this for, like few hours too. If 3 hours stops, I'll be finishing the show at 2:30, and I got 1 hour to get ready and get to the movies to watch my. Thank you very much. If you're watching this live or recorded, thumbs up is the way. 9 people watching, 7 likes, no better for ratio. But you are watching this now recorded, and you must hit the thumbs up. Also, share the show. Tell people where to find us. It's not a lot of people here. I'm not feeling well today. I'm like damn because I haven't eaten well. I didn't have it. I didn't have enough to eat a good breakfast today, so I just ate a quick snack and I just kind of a little bit of a hungry, but it's okay. I'll figure something out after the show, and when I get out, I'll try to eat a little something from somewhere. So if you like to support and help out a little bit, there's a PayPal link that I would appreciate if anybody hit me up with a few dollars. And if you can support and super chat, then you can do so also. Question, comment, concern, all accept. I see my mom bakes cakes. Farmer's Boy, RT96, Kuso, the Stingray, CTC9, and Stefan Mali in the house. We have we have a globe section right here. Look, if I put the arm, a globe come to view. If I take my arm out, there's no globe anymore. So we got a globe on top of another globe. How about that? Nothing. And we got the squeaky earth. Where the frog's looking at? Where the frog's looking at? Holy fuck. Mini globe fell. I gotta get this out of here. There you go. Now I can put it right here where I get. Yeah? Is it good? There you go. Excellent. Now we can take care of the squeaky earth now. Let's do it. It's a fantastic sound. Our neighbors listening to it. But it's okay. Squeaky earth is squeaky earth. Jose, if it's hot in there, if you have to have a fan to blow yourself, why do you have long sleeves? Well, because the mosquitoes are a motherfucking evil over here. Mosquitoes are fucking evil. They're beating my face up, but when they get to my arms and I don't realize, bro, they I'm not allergic to mosquitoes, but they just fuck me up so bad, fuck me up. Arms looking all fucked up because of them. So I must protect myself at all times for the mosquito. Shout out to the plants around me, flowers, all kinds of good things. Got my things still growing here. I got this one is a beast. Less than a week, grew this big. Okay, I don't even know what flower is this or type of plant, but it's huge. I put 3 seeds in that one, like 3 little seeds. That's only two, 3 seeds. Yes. And this one I put a handful of them, like sprinkled in the middle, and there's like what 4 or 5 of them. Etc. etc. So this one's got a bunch, man. This one's got like shit, too tiny, but still. Compared with this, I planted the same day. This one, look how small this is, and this one, look how big this motherfucker is. It's fucking magic. I thought I had magic hands because of this one grew so big, but those ones are really small. So I don't know if the type of plant it is. Dude, I can see my belly in the YouTube. Okay, what the hell is going on here? What the hell is good? Makes me want to tilt my camera up and show my beer belly. I got less of a belly right here. So what's going on, man? Charlie Wells, I see you. Interesting comment that I read was the stingray. The stingray say that stingray thinks that Gary and Lemon just believe shit works the way they say it works. Stingray finds interesting to try to figure out, fascinating to ask about reality and flat Earth, the sun-related issues with what we see in reality versus what we can, give you as a flat plane. It doesn't work. He insists that it works flat. Lots of clarification needed. Gary isn't a flirt. What is Gary? Gary is a religious guy who has one idea in mind, very monodimensional, unidimensional, unidimensional, is that from a camera not zooming versus a camera fully zooming. You want to look at that transition from where you're not zooming and then you zoom in. He want to look at that middle point. That's his unidimension. He doesn't want to see the things when it's already fully zoomed. He doesn't want to see the big picture. He said, in order to see the big picture, I need to waste all my time and look at this dimension, what is going on here in between what I see versus what I don't see. Because when he actually see the big picture, his dreams will be shattered. And that is his dimension. Lemonbird is more multidimensional, even though the dimension of Lemonbird must be something else, must be anything but what it is. Must be whatever. We gotta look into that. We just gotta think, and just gotta put our brains together. You just gotta go and do it. We just gotta figure it out. We just gotta rebuild it. Anything but what it is. Well, but I'm giving you this result. This is it. No, we gotta look into it. Because you're telling me that this is that, I don't think so. It could be something else. Maybe he's dead. Who knows if it is? Whatever. We'll just look into that. That's lemon or whatever. How about that? What do you guys think about my analysis? And then when Gary is put into the test, as for questions are asked to him, his tactic is to interrupt, to talk a lot, so we can lose the point that was asked to him or proposed. He talks a lot. He tried to kind of wishy-washy out over the question or point that was made, and then he just takes over from there. He just goes on a ramble, and he tried to bring it back to this, to his dimension, to this one part when you're zooming in. He brings it over here. So I want to talk to you about this, Gary. Oh, let me tell you about this. Well, this is what's going on. This is the dimension that I touch. Then Lemonbird, oh, whatever. Let's just put everything together. Or whatever. Shout out to Chaik and Discord user. Discord user, you got a microphone now? Chaik, you're here. What's up?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good, good. I'm just taking my time, just ranting a little bit until you joined. Trying to psychoanalyze and give my perspective on the way I see and think of Lemon and Gary. What do you think?
I think that will take a lot of psychologists to analyze those two.
I think I got them figured out for at least the way they behave in this channel, in this group, you know. And why Gary and Lemon? Because those are the two more active lately participants in here. The, shall I say, reality deniers. Hey, if you're offended, you come over and defend yourself, you know. What do you think? Is Gary a multi-dimensional person? Does he have a lot to offer? What do you how do you think of Gary in relation to this whole argument?
I can't argue with Gary because if I talk about A, he will talk about B, never about A. So,
And then Lemon.
and if I'll move to B, he will talk about C or A again, but never what we're discussing at the moment.
Well, Lemon, man, what do you think?
Well, Lemon, just repeat the science he learned from some book that is 200 or more years old.
Like book by is he appealing to an authority by the name of Samuel Robert or others
Yeah,
or the Bible? Yeah.
yeah, that those two.
Those are Lemon's holy books. You think Samuel Robatham books and the Bible are in his library, the only books existing.
I don't even know if he read them all, but read some of it and base his opinion of what he read.
I forgot to tell you. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Should I feel embarrassed that I, as for today, have no fucking idea what the Cinco de Mayo day should represent or mean or whatever? Unlike the 4th of July, which I know what represents, what it means. I have no fucking idea what the Cinco de Mayo is. Now, la disclaimer. For the past 15 years, I've been in the United States for like 17 years now. for the past 15 years, I know about Cinco de Mayo. I know that it's a holiday. It's a day to, I don't know. Hey, Corona, hija. That's all I know about Cinco de Mayo. I only know that for about years. I'm 47 years old, born and raised in Puerto Rico. But all I know about Cinco de Mayo is that it's a day that people drink and grill and celebrate for the past 15 years. Should I feel embarrassed, farmers? What do you think?
Do you actually want to know what it is?
I mean, I live 47 years of my life without knowing. I'm not necessarily, but if you want to, just superficially, kind of, just don't make it difficult whatsoever.
Well,
I don't want to learn about it.
I googled it to find out what it is, and it's basically the commemoration of the anniversary of Mexico's victory over the French Empire at the Battle of Puebla in 1862.
That sounded like history.
It is.
I failed history. I failed history of Puerto Rico. I failed history of United States. Why in the fuck do I have to learn history about somewhere else?
Exactly. This is a Mexican thing. It's Mexico beating the French Empire in a battle in 1862. That's what Cinco de Mayo actually is. That's what all the celebrations about. The Mexicans beating the French, which is it's always a cause for celebration, beating the French, I guess.
Right. I say it's a very good reason to drink.
Like anybody actually needs a reason, but if you feel that you have to have one on May the 5th, that's your reason. For the Mexicans beating the French.
I thought it was
something behind it. I thought a quick Google and it's like, oh, hello, there we go.
I thought it was because of that one joke on Jonah Hill, like Cinco de Mayo. That's why we got a lot of sinkholes in Mexico, like in Central America, and we got a lot of sinkholes because of Cinco de Mayo. I thought that was it.
Nice, but no. Sadly not.
Okay.
You can think that if you like.
I will continue to think.
There you go. Yeah.
The Revenge of the 5th. Yesterday was May the 4th. Be with you. Today is the Revenge of the 5th.
Yes, it's Sith Day. Yes. Apparently. Not quite sure what tomorrow's going to be. Probably nothing at all.
Oh, it will. It will be Friday festivities.
Well,
I'm tired, bro.
Yeah. Oh, I heard what you said earlier on. Yeah. Today I was very glad that I work at home and my bathroom's next door.
Oh yeah, that's good.
I don't. It's something I suspect it was something I ate yesterday, but it was like, yeah, I'm glad I'm not in an office or out on site. I can just down tools and have a quiet moment of contemplation several times. So yeah, I feel I get like that sometimes because some days I'm so lazy when it comes to eating. I don't have proper meals. Some days I do, some days I don't, and I don't know what it was yesterday, but oh dear, yeah.
Is Cinco de Mayo a good excuse to drink Dos Equis?
Good excuse to drink what?
To drink Dos Equis. Like, I don't always drink beer, but when I do, I prefer Dos Equis. Stay thirsty, my friend. Nothing? Dos Equis?
I've never heard of them before.
You never heard of Dos Equis? Oh, man.
No.
Dos Equis. Look at the YouTube. Type Dos Equis in the meme, in the GIF, in this one.
Oh, okay. Hang on then.
Just type that in the GIF, and that's the face of Dos Equis.
Right. Oh, I see. Yeah.
And the commercial, there's a commercial, and he say, "I don't always drink beer, but when I do, I prefer Dos Equis." And then
I see. So the
most
interesting man in the world meme.
There you go.
Was an advert campaign for that. Yeah, I've never heard of that beer. I've never drunk it.
Shout out to Tweet. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Whatever that means to you. Tacos, avocados, and margaritas for Tweet. Hey, RT96, $2. Thank you for the super chat. I don't always lie, but when I do, I flirt.
Nice. I like that. That's yeah,
Appreciate that. Thank you very much.
very good. Hmm. Oh, apparently it's also celebrated because the Mexican force was much, much smaller
Damn it. I was
than
talking,
the
sorry.
French army. Oh,
I was
you were
talking
muted, weren't
for a
you?
long
Yeah.
time. I was talking for a long time.
I just thought you'd muted because of the fan.
No. I muted. There was cow on cowbell. But I say, what does Cinco de Mayo represent? For Zebulon is Dos Equis. For Tweet is tacos, avocados, and margaritas. Because she does the memes. That's the emojis that she posted. Emojis. What did I go like this with the fingers? I don't know. What is Cinco de Mayo to you, farmers?
Well, right at the moment, to me, it's a cup of tea
There you go.
because that's what I'm having. Because I find it's still a little bit early in the afternoon to start hitting the alcohol.
For me,
I'm still
it's,
actually trying to work as well.
for me would be watching a good movie.
Well, that's what you're going to be doing in a while, isn't it?
Yeah.
I caught up with Moon. What's it bloody called?
White Night. I mean Moonlight.
That's it, Moonlight. See, I couldn't remember what it's called. I got the last episode in last night. Yeah, that was all right.
Yeah, it was good. It was good at
Yeah.
the end, a little roller coaster. But it was all right.
Yeah, it wrapped up quite nicely. I think I caught up with the latest series of Picard as well. I don't know whether you've been watching that. If you're a Star Trek
Haven't watched
fan
it.
or not. No, that's
I
quite
heard
good.
of it. I heard of it when the first season came out a year or two ago or whatever. When the first season came out, and I heard, and I never saw the original Star Trek when I was a kid. I was a Star Wars fan, but when I grew up, I saw a few clips, a few things, a little bit of the movies. I saw the new ones, and I entertained the idea in my mind that I might watch Picard, but I just never got to.
No, there's so many series that people say, "Oh, you must watch this," and it's just like there's not enough hours in a day. There really is just really are sport for choice. But yeah, Picard I picked up when it started with the first series, and yeah, that's quite enjoyable. Clearly going to be another series.
Yeah,
You can tell the way the last one ends. You think, "Yep, that's a to be continued."
Yeah. I'm watching a new Outer Range. Outer Range is the name of a TV series by Josh Brolin. Josh Brolin, he's a good actor, And
I've watched the first one, yeah.
Yeah, they're throwing. It's just one season. Outer Range. It's a new season on TV, and they're throwing 2 episodes every Friday. So there are already 6 episodes, and tomorrow is gonna be the last 2 episodes. It's an 8-episode season.
Oh well,
Outer Range.
Outer Range, yes. I've watched the first one, so yeah. After tomorrow, I might, if I get the time, I'll sit down and binge the hell out of it.
I enjoy it. Why? Because of him, his presence, Josh Brolin. He's got that Western vibe, the evil dude, the voice. I see a little bit of Thanos and evil, and the villain in him. He's a good actor.
He's done some very good stuff. Yeah, I do like him.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm watching it. I'm looking forward for the last 2 episodes tomorrow at any time, maybe late in the afternoon before I go to bed. Maybe watch him 1.5 speed or something. Get it out of the way. But it's cool. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. Cinco de Mayo is just a day for getting over the hangover of all those wild Star Wars parties. The 4th.
Oh, I knew there was something I forgot to do yesterday. Go to all those wild Star Wars parties. Damn it. Oh, well, there's always next year.
I used to be. I don't remember who I was. I think we were. I was fucking the white soldiers, the stormtroopers.
Stormtroopers, yeah.
I thought I was stormtroopers most of the time on Halloween when I was a kid. We were
Yeah.
little, like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, until I kind of remember the earlier years.
Yeah.
My oldest brother was Darth Vader. My other brother was either Chewbacca, Han Solo, I think. One of my sisters was Luke Skywalker. My other sister was Princess Leia. we were for years. We were Star Wars. We had blankets and pillows, Star Wars and toys, all kinds of shit, man.
Yeah.
Nothing physical left of all those years from 40 years ago, man. Oh well, the memories are there. Some pictures around.
Exactly. Yeah.
There are actually
Yeah.
some pictures, man, around. My mom still has a bunch of those. Star Wars, me looking freaked out, peeking to the side.
Yeah, I never saw Star Wars in the cinema. I think I was only 7. I did see Empire. I saw Empire in the cinema when it came out, and that for me is still probably the best one they've done.
I see any of them on the movie theaters. I saw him, when I was a kid or whatever. I saw him randomly on TV, whatever they were showing, like 4, 5, or 6. Like the first 3 of them.
Yeah.
When I was like 12 or 13, I sat down, like in order, the 3 of them.
So
When I was a kid, I just watched randomly, whatever was on TV.
Yeah, the problem back then was when a film came out of the cinema, it would take years before you saw it on the TV.
Yep.
And then it could still, and it would take even longer before you could get it on video.
Yeah,
on tape.
video.
I mean, I think E.T. took something stupid like 6 or 7 years. Not that I wanted to watch it anyway, but I think that one took 6 or 7 years between the cinema release and VHS video. I mean, nowadays, it's out of the cinema, and well, as you know, you can in certain formats watch it the next day.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep. So quick.
And any TV series, as soon as it comes out on anything at all, you can watch it. Boom. It's instant gratification.
Time. Easy. Everything easy. We
Yes.
got it today, man.
Yeah. Yeah, none of this going and renting a video and then being kind and rewinding it before you take it back. And
we had a beta player. My dad had one. It was strange because they opened VHS dollar movie rentals, in my hometown over there in the corner. And it was so easy. I used to go and look at the boxes of the movies. Like, damn, I want to watch this movie. I want to watch all of this. Was a kid or whatever. And then until my dad bought a beta player, I go like, fucking hey, yay! And I rented a dollar movie. My dad gave me. So like, what the fuck? It doesn't fit. This is too big. My dad, no, that's a different one.
that's a VHS.
It's beta. So like, what the fuck? So I went to ask the guy, like, hey, you know what? My dad said, like, this is not it. It's a smaller tape. He's a beta player, right? He said, I got this section right here. And he had like a little blog, and he had like 20 movies, beta movies. I saw we rented them all. Like every day we rented one of them. The shittiest movies. Some of the shittiest movies. Bunch of black and white. I don't even remember. I remember a few. I saw the African Queen. That's a very classic one. Also, African Queen, and I enjoyed it. Black and white. I was like, yeah, we're watching a movie at home. Like, so cool. We don't have to go to a drive-through. My dad used to take us, the 5 of us, sitting. My dad, my mom, in a Chevy car, big Chevy car. My dad, my mom, and the 5 of us. I mean, I was 5 years old. My sister was 7, 8, 9, and 10. All of us sitting in the back, all crunched. Like, I want to watch the movie. I want to hear. And in the radio, we listening to sound, yelling, and I mean. So we watched all the beta, and then my dad bought us a VHS movie after that. Hey, we were poor, so we caught up behind everybody. People had it for years, but my dad couldn't just afford it. We were 5 kids and, whatever. My dad was a teacher. My mom didn't work. My dad was a teacher, so we were just living off a teacher's pay in the daily
Yeah,
basis. Which
yeah.
we never
No,
appreciated it as kids, but now I see that behind that man. Yeah, he put a lot of work to get us where we are, to for us to be the people we are today. Humble and poor, but it is what it is.
I think when I remember Dad, he rented a Betamax video for 2 weeks. And it was absolutely a brilliant bit of kit, way superior to VHS. But VHS flooded the market, and we'd go down and look for a video, and like you said, there'd be nothing. And there'd be shelf after shelf of VHS videos to rent, but nothing for the Betamax. So he ended up buying one of the very first sort of front-loading VHS machines you could get over here in the UK, because back then farming actually paid quite well. So we were getting sort of video players and personal computers, chunky bloody things they were. Yeah, we'd have toys like that because, well, I suppose Dad could afford it because he was getting paid proper money at the time, not like now. But yeah, the Betamax, I think industry carried on using that for years because it was just a vastly superior system. But
yeah, we had the cool pop-up back in the tape, the VHS thing. It was like a big, gigantic block.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I saw a bigger. I still, see them in whatever thrift stores or whatever. I just look around to see what good classic I find. Big ass, VCRs, those pop-up. Yeah, memories, man.
Yeah. I think there was a disc system as well. There was how was it called? A Philips 2000, and it was like a giant CD. And I think they were double-sided, but I don't know. That's getting on for 40 years ago. I can't quite remember, but I know a mate at school. They had a Philips 2000, and it was a video disc. It wasn't a clunky tape in a cassette. It was like a giant CD.
Well, we had before the VHS and all that. We had tape like Walkmans, and my dad bought us Walkmans and tape recorders, little tape recorders, little radios with cassettes. Those were cool. We was always recording to each other. I used to go to my grandpa's, and he had an 8-track player. And that was really cool for me. He had a little collection of 8 tracks, nice tape, cassettes. And I used to like, be careful with that. Just take it easy. Just putting the tapes and listening to it in the speakers. Really cool. I got one. My neighbor gave me an 8-track, but after there's already DVDs and whatever. I was in my 20s. It was now the new era with the internet and everything. And my neighbor, I got a Christmas present for you. What's up? Over there in Puerto Rico. I opened it like, fuck is this? Holy shit, it's an 8-track player. He said, hell fucking yeah. And it was like 10 or 15 Christmas tapes. That's all he had. And it was Christmas. Fucking hey, we went crazy all the Christmas. We were a fucking 8-track player, man. That was awesome. A mix between old school, he gives us an old school gift in the present times. That was very appreciated always.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Or a Laserdisc. I'm sure it was a Philips system, but I don't know. It's an awfully long time ago.
Philips was very known for the VCD, which is just video compact disc, which often either was double-sided or came on 2 discs for a movie.
It was the double-sided part of it, I remember. That was the Philips system.
I mean, I had a Philips CDI at the time. That's what it was. And I used to love it.
Was that before or in the same time of VHS?
Same time.
It was about the same time. I mean, I'm thinking it must have been, I don't know, 82, 83, something like that, I think.
Early 80s, yeah. Right.
I'm having trouble remembering it. It's too bloody long ago.
I know. We had my first VCR was in 86, and I remember because we moved towns. In 85, we moved, and I was 10 years old. And then the next year is when my dad gave us the VCR. Like, yeah, we're already steady over here. You guys are in school. Everything is good. Yep, VCR here. Watch movies home. Whenever you want. Hey, yeah. So it was a few years after everybody kind of had them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think ours was one of the first sort of front loaders that came on the market, because I remember at school they used to they'd wheel in the telly that's on the trolley, and that had got a good old clunky top loading VHS machine on the tray, and easy way of teaching kids, get them to sit still and be quiet for half an hour whilst you watch some crappy recording or something.
I think they're very expensive. Now, if you buy a new VHS player or whatever, I think they're very expensive.
What? Because they're collectible.
Yeah, still considered collectibles, I guess. And I threw so many away. I mean, they used to sell them for like $5 and $10, like VHS players. There was one time of those when there was the conversion started to begin to DVDs and shit. They were really cheap.
Just had a quick look on eBay. Most expensive one I can find at the moment is £35.
That's not too bad. Yeah, that's not too bad. Oh, you know what's really expensive, and I haven't been able to get a hold of, because the worst investment that I did was buying me an high 8mm camera camcorder.
Mm-hmm.
Stingray right now. I mean there was the camcorder, and then there was what was the name of the other, they call it, no camcorder, camcorders, and then there was the camera, whatever. But there was this camera with the format of 8mm tiny tapes. So now there are the V8 or something. There's an adapter for smaller tapes. There's an adapter that you can play on VHS. But for these 8mm little tapes, high 8 format and 8mm, there's no adapter. There's a machine that you can play them. Those machines, they sell for like $800 today. And if I want to buy me a camera, a little camcorder, so I can put the tapes in and play them, they are like $200 and $300, like because they're recalled and they're not on sale anymore.
Yeah.
I haven't physically go around in maybe like the pawn shops or whatever. They might have those, but I remember a few years ago that I went to pawn shops and they kind of switched everything. They're selling more of the digital stuff, so I don't even know if I'm gonna find those, And what if I buy one for $50 or $60 and then it just doesn't play the tapes, it doesn't work? I fucking hate it, bro. I got like 6 hours tapes, like full of stuff from Puerto Rico, from the late night, from like 1998, 1999, early 2000s, 2001, from parties and all kinds of good stuff from Puerto Rico, man. And I haven't been able to bring those to life. They're just in tapes. I hate it. So if anybody have an either a camera or a player that I can play my mini tapes, 8mm format tapes, holler at me, man. I appreciate it. If you just mail it to me, I just do the format and get it in CDs or something, or online, and then I'll send it to you. I saw places, they are places like, you send the tape, we transfer any type of media, we transfer it to this and shit. But I don't know, I don't trust that to send it up, because I really don't remember what is on those tapes from those years. I really don't.
Oh.
I don't want to send that. Those was the wild years, and I don't want to do that, man.
Say no more. It could have, You might not want.
Really don't know, man. Anything could be there. Anything, but like hurting somebody, like dead or fights and stabbing and shooting. There's none of that in the tape.
No.
But anything outside that, anything is on.
Yeah.
So I must monitor that. I must keep an eye on that.
That could be embarrassing.
Oh man, opening the internet, like, yeah, look at this, some crazy wild shit from the old school. I mean, finding myself on the internet in one of the dark webs or some shit like that. Hell no, man. Become a meme of whatever, man.
Yeah. Oh dear.
I didn't ask you first, and then the Stingray. Farmer's Boy.
Yes.
Earlier, I explained the way I see the two participants that participates a lot in lately shows, Gary Webenga and Lemon Bird, from the people that don't agree with the majority of the people, right? But let me read this one. Dora, I'm good. Thank you for the free super chat membership. Thank you for being a responsible troll. Jose's Naughty Tape Archive uploaded. Hey, I'll upload it when I get to transparent. I will upload 90% of those tapes. I will do that, believe me.
I
The
think it's the
10% is just for
10%
me.
that's the interesting bit.
I'm
yeah.
afraid that the 10% is bad.
for your eyes only.
Yeah. So Gary Webenga, the way I explained Gary earlier, he's just unidimensional. I don't know if that's a word. Monodimensional.
Mm.
He only want to talk about this segment from seeing the big picture, from seeing with your own eyes versus a camera already zooming. He doesn't want to look at the zooming picture. He want to see at this middle point and the transition from you don't see a lot until you see a lot. He want to look at this. He doesn't want to look at the big picture already zooming. So that's Gary's niche. That's Gary unidimensional. He can, I mean, you can ask him anything around, but he's going to grab the question you ask him and he say like, all right, my answer is, and he go to this dimension where he lives in, right there. And then Lemon Bird is everything or whatever. What do you think, Gary or Lemon? What do you think about them?
Gary is pretty much a one-trick pony. Yeah. And Lemon Bird, you can make a half a guess at how he's going to respond because we've heard it enough times. But at the same time, it could be anything because he will just subscribe to any bizarre way out there theory that he hears because that beats reality hands down for him. So whatever. You just don't know what you're going to get with him. Whereas Gary, I think you know exactly what you're going to get. There aren't any surprises there. Except for the one he came out with the other day about scaling your camera down. I must admit that's a new one on me. I've never heard that before.
That's what we're going. We got to hold on to those very dearly.
Yes. It
does
make a bit of a change. Yeah, it's like, hang on, I haven't heard that argument before.
The Stingray, Gary Webenga, does he have many dimensions? Is it hard to psychoanalyze a person like that, to argue with a person like that? What do you think about him and then Lemon? What do you
think? I think they're both similar in the fact that they have a belief system based off brute force. And that brute force is unwavering commitment to a narrative that doesn't match reality, even though they are adamant it does, because it all just works. And the way to unravel that is not to say, hey, you're uneducated, hey, you're wrong because of X, Y, and Z, because you can't attack the argument that way. The easiest way is to get them to explain it and plot it out. And I wanted to do that yesterday with Gary and Lemon. Like the sun just works on a flat earth. Well, actually, no, it doesn't from fucking anywhere. Let me show you what you'd have to do to make it work. And it's so outlandish on making it work. And I'd love to just have like 5 minutes of them trying to show me on a flat earth, how do I get the sun from the location that it is above the Philippines to out beyond the ice wall on a sunrise south of east in Sydney, Australia, in their summer. It's like impossible, but they believe it anyway. And I find that fascinating, that you can look at reality and say, no, it just works in my head. It just works, but I'm not going to demonstrate it. I'm not going to explain it. I'm not going to test it myself. It just works, and I believe it. And that to me is fascinating.
Yeah, interesting, man. Overall, Gary's whole, the majority of his niche and argument He can talk for days non-stop, 24/7, about observations looked through a camera. He can talk about that because he got this understanding of I mean, you must account for what's going on in the transit while you're zooming in the camera. And he said, like, yeah, but look over there, you don't see anything. And then zooming with the camera, I'm zooming in. Look, I'm starting to see a little dot. Look, I'm zooming in. Now I see a lot of it. That's kind of his go-to.
I mean, Jose, in all seriousness, Gary's argument can be boiled down to three things, and it's only the third one that's interesting that he should explain. And the first two things are actually just perspective. That's it. So the first one is things get smaller as they get further away. Wow, that's a breakthrough right there. And things get smaller quicker the closer they are. Wow, that's also just saying perspective again, but well done. But then it's the third one, perspective compression. Because I've asked him many times, well, compression can mean a lot of things based on context. So one of the issues there is define what you mean by compression. And I know it's a pointless exercise for anybody that actually believes and exercises conscious thought in reality. But it's actually super interesting to try and get someone that adamantly, and I believe he adamantly believes it, to explain how that works. Because he full well knows that he's the only person that's discovered it. And I find that fascinating as well.
Right. Now I have attempted to present him, but let's just talk about the topic on hand. Is this picture already maximized, already on view of this X building missing the bottom half? So if he attempt to explain it, he's going to bring it back to him, his argument about the three things that you say: perspective and thinking smaller, and perspective compression. And then he's going to want to talk about zoom back out and see if you're going to see the same thing with your own eyes. You're not going to see anything. It's the same. It's like a very, very circular argument for him. I don't know how to reach. You got more patience than me. I don't know how to reach a person like that when he don't address the point, the picture on hand, the visuals on his face.
I mean, one of the things from my standpoint, and you've heard me say it a few times, is I do not care that a huge amount of water suddenly appears below the bottom floors of that building. I don't. The thing that's more fascinating to me is that if I draw a straight line from my eyes to the building height that I would be stood at, that does not create a parallel line to the surface of the water, because now I'm looking down through the water. And if I do that line of sight, I end up like 40, 50, 60 foot in B-Ball's images above where it should be on the building. That's the issue, not the fact that it's things that disappearing from the bottom up. The problem is the whole building's moved down. That's interesting.
Yeah, I think he will deny that happened. He will say no. In his brain, that's not the way it works, the way you explained it. But try to make him explain what the way it works in reality. I have tried to pay attention to his explanations. It just doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. I cannot picture what he attempted to explain. The way he attempted to explain it, I cannot picture that. And he's the only one that can explain it, but there's no visuals, there's no graphs, there's no papers. He's just showing the same videos, same pictures that we show him, and he's saying a lot of words, and I just cannot comprehend what he's attempting to say.
Like I say, the best argument for me is great. It works on a flat Earth. Let's have a look at why that statement might not necessarily be true together. And let's have a look at the disparity between it. And the perfect example is Sydney or Melbourne, looking at just the path of the sun. And what's amazing is it's not just one thing with the flat earther. it's 5 or 6 things. And even when you say, okay, just pick the one with the biggest magnitude of the effect, they still find it hard. Whereas all you have to do is sit on a globe and rotate it and everything just works. I find it amazing how they don't just think, hang about, that's really simple to solve this issue.
One of my biggest issues, like my end days as a flat earther, that I could comprehend how the globe works. I could visualize it in my mind. I could see it on screen as for pictures, diagrams, models, videos, explain. And I had any of those for a flat earth. I mean, there was an attempt to give me some pictures and visuals, but as I tried to transfer it to reality, it didn't add up because then you needed to invoke a lot of magic, like this magical magnification. As the sun goes away, it magnifies, it gets bigger, and the same, the same rate as it goes away, it magnifies, so it appears in the same size. Doesn't add up. And then when I ask the pad, all right, so I'm pointing at the sun and it's with my finger pointing slightly above the horizon, it's going to come off from the opposite side. I'm looking facing first, looking through my finger where the sun should be above the horizon, as it just, I don't see it anymore. Let's see, I give you this magnification and it just went down, appears to go down even if it's going away. What is the path that it's going to take now? Is it going to go slightly to the left, all the way around over the horizon and then come back up? Or is it going to go slightly to the right above the horizon and then come back up from the... I just couldn't visualize anything. I still can't today.
For me, the reason why I built that sun model is you can go outside and you can verify this. Now, I think I spoke to Gary and Lemon like yesterday, and I just wanted to concentrate on one issue. There's actually loads of issues on flat Earth, given the apparent position of the sun. That there's like 8 things that where not you can maybe solve in part one of them with special pleading and magic, but that doesn't solve all 8. The only thing that solves all 8 is make it into a sphere, move the sun very far back and rotate it, and then everything just works. Now, an example of one of those, which I can't believe someone with logic ability cannot actually comprehend, is if and it's like the modus tollens thing. So if sun local, angular velocity in apparent vision through the sky change based on inclination and distance to. And the thing is, it doesn't for anybody. And it would for everybody. Therefore, Earth not flat.
Yeah. We got Truth Seeker, Farmer's Boy, Chike, and Discord user, no microphone, I think. Thoughts, guys? What do you think?
No, I try not to strawman flat Earth. Therefore, I argue about their claims, not mine, theirs. So Gary went and did a stupid video about rubber bands, which he showed nothing in. Well, I agreed with him about something, and then he went to do another video of rubber bands, which he compared 2 different slices of what sheep or building or whatever he's talking about. Can't compare different size slices. You need to compare same size slices. And then he did the third, which he didn't do it. And I'm still waiting until you do the top section and the bottom section, same size, and show me that the angle to the top is greater than the angle to the bottom. I'm guessing he won't do it.
Farmer's Boy, you seen anything getting close to work on a flat Earth as the sun, like the sun movements?
No. Everything they suggest, every little diagram, every little GIF, everything that they've presented doesn't match what we see in reality.
Hey, you're forgetting what I did.
You're not a flat earther, dear boy.
Doesn't matter. I still made it explain some things.
Do you really want me to say just one word again?
Yes, well, yeah. Well, there's that and the Terminator line. That'd be a very weird shape, wouldn't it?
Yes, exactly. But I mean, everything that they present to try and demonstrate how they think the sun moves over their imaginary flat Earth involves the sun changing distance from any given observer. And anything that moves away, as we all know, appears to get smaller. And when it comes closer to you, it appears to get larger. And the sun doesn't do that. So just the very fact that you're saying, "Oh yes, the sun moves away," no, it doesn't. No, you're lying. Nothing that they've come up with matches what we see in reality. Because from where we're standing, it ain't the sun that's moving; it's us. And I know Gary makes the argument, "Oh, when it gets near the horizon, there's a little bit of compression." Well, yeah, not overall though. The overall size of the sun doesn't change. What you're seeing is compression due to the atmosphere.
For one observer, right, on Earth, my first person point of view, right, and if I'm in the middle of the ocean, right, and I'm looking at the sun noon, sun above me, right in the equinox, right, and the sun is above me, and if I model the sun being, I don't know, close as for, I don't know, a mile above my head, be big that it looks the whatever arc seconds that looks the same. So we do it a mile away from me, and we do it like that, and then we just arc the sun like in a personal dome type of thing. We arc the sun down, down, and then we just sink in the water. We just make it go inside the water, right? And then that's it. And then the sun, if I look the opposite way, I can make this a new sun come up from the water, right? That can look like we see in reality, right? If that is modeled the right way.
No.
It wouldn't look like reality from one person, from that one person.
So the statement is this. This statement is true. For any single moment in time, you can have something at the correct angular size and the correct inclination and direction for it to be the sun at any distance. You just change the size. I could have a marble, 5 foot away and say that's the sun and that's how it works and it's the correct size. It is for that moment and on that location. The issue comes from multiple locations and it being temporal over time. It just invalidates absolutely every single explanation that you can come up with from the Earth being flat. The second that starts to move, you're screwed. Now, there is an exception, but it's not plausible. The exception is if the sun was only ever centered around you, no matter where you were, and it stayed equidistant while arcing through the sky on a pivot, which is yourself, then obviously that would work. But that's utterly ridiculous, and you can easily invalidate it.
Right. But just one person. Let's not add an extra person, and it's from your perspective, from your point of view. And it cannot be that close. It gotta be a few miles away, and just doing this path of this personal dome. So it can go. So when it goes inside the water, it is past the horizon. Is when it goes inside the water.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. The sun doesn't hit the water ever. We know that, or else would have issues.
Yeah. But what I say is can look like it looks in reality.
Yeah, and what I say is it can. That's like you say, if you've got a personal dome, but you can invalidate a personal dome very, very easy with offset angles with a few people. Even if you've all got your own personal domes, you can invalidate the fact that the sun is actually in that direction quite easily. And it just doesn't correlate, and there's no such thing as a personal dome anyway, so there you go.
No, but you cannot add anybody else. It's just one person in the world from that one point of view only.
Yeah, but again, is the person allowed to move?
No, he's just the boat is
So,
anchored.
yeah, no. So I will agree with you. If they have a personal dome, if the sun is fixed around them, and if they get born, live and die in the same location, then you could possibly fake it. How about
Yay! Yay! I'm happy now. There you go.
But you've also got to then do that for everybody else as well.
Don't think about the negatives. Just take the win, man.
No, I'm just doing my job. I'm just pointing things out. Like, is that a good idea? Does that work? You've got to remember everybody else on the planet.
I got a better answer for you. We have to look into that. How about that?
We have to look into that, which basically means forget it.
Shout out to everybody on YouTube. I see your Mungus and everybody else. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up and help me out, guys. I mean, I need a little bit of help, and whenever I finish the show, I need a few dollars to eat something on my way to where I'm going later. So if anybody got $5 or $10 to hit me up on PayPal, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. It's at McDonald's on my way across the street. I can buy me like a Big Mac for like $3.50 or $4.
Anyway, you want a Photoshop tutorial?
There you go. All right, let me show you. Share your screen.
Oh, really interesting thing. This is a GoPro from 95,000 feet. Well, not right now. It goes up to 95,000 feet, then comes all the way back down. But an interesting artifact, a 2D distortion artifact of the lens, I might add, not depth-based, is obviously the GoPro has got a lot of distortion on the lens, and you can see it by what it's doing to the horizon. Now in Photoshop, a lot of people don't know this, but Photoshop can actually do video editing as well. You can see here I've changed it into video mode and dropped it in there, and all I need to do to a video to run quite advanced filters on it is to turn it into a smart object, which I have done, which then has allowed me to put the lens correction on it across the entire video. Now, if we look at this, we can see what happens to this line. At the moment, this is concave Earth, but obviously with it doing this, it goes all over and goes flat Earth, ball Earth, well, very ball Earth, tiny ball Earth, in fact. But what we can do is I can apply this lens correction for this specific camera. Now that has little to no distortion. You can tell that now because it's a consistent line and arc. Even though it might not seem like an arc, if I just pause.
Oh yeah, yeah, it is.
You stopped talking.
Yeah, we can see on the tip here, over here, we can see that it is in fact arcing.
Yep.
So yeah, and I think it goes higher. I think that might be what the height. No, wait a minute. Hard trying to figure out when the balloon bursts. Right, I think this is a fair shot. But like I say, no lens distortion here, and that is the curvature of the Earth at about 95,000 feet.
Yep.
Anybody can do this with Photoshop. This is not magic. Lenses are very well understood. This horizon does not distort from this shape. Now it's had the lens distortion taken out of it. And this is just so easy for intelligent, honest, non-fanatical people to do themselves.
Let me read this comment, and I got a question for you about that. Biggest Douglas, thank you, brother. You're awesome, man. You sent me $10 on PayPal. I appreciate that, man. Damn it, Balance Truths. You come in here every day, ask the same dumb questions, and ignore the answers, then claim nobody referred you. What the fuck is the matter with you, Biggest Douglas? Thank you very much, brother, for the 10. That helps me a lot, man. Appreciate it. That's the biggest. Yeah. There's always a margin of error with programs like this, Stingray, what you're doing. But even accounting for any margin of error, will it make a big difference? Will it make it from convex to concave?
No, so it's always whenever you're performing an action that changes values, or even if you're measuring something, you can't say I have accurately measured that, because there's no. You can't infinitely accurately measure something. There's always going to be a margin of error, and you are correct. There is here. But it'll be about 4 or 5 pixels, and it will not be detectable to my eye. So, does it change the shape of it overall? No, it is insignificant.
That's fair. I always, when I was in the other camp, I saw these exercises for fisheye lens correction. I don't know. I didn't trust it much because from my point of view, the way my brain was wired by that time, this is just manipulation. You're just adding the curvature or taking a little bit of curvature, but still leaving curvature. So I didn't know to what level was accurate.
Yeah, but do you follow the logical steps of if this line changes shape by nature of moving itself around the lens being the thing that is distorting this line, we can infer that there is a lot of lens distortion, and that distortion is uneven across the surface of the lens. Now,
100% agree.
Yeah. So, but then the next logical step is this: we can see that it's going all over the place. I mean, it's even turning up at the edges there. Look at that. But now there's another logical step. If I apply this supposed lens correction, and now this line stays the constant curvature all the time, is it fair to say that I've taken out the effect of what the lens did to it? And the answer is yes. And this is curved. It's so simple.
Yeah. Now, if one take a short clip of a very straight object, a countertop or something straight, 2x4 or something really straight, and you do this wibbly wobbly, go up and down, and you see the concave and convex, and you click the lens correction, will it make it a straight line that with the way it should be? I haven't tried or seen anybody attempting to lens correction a video from a straight object.
Yeah, so any lens correction. So you have, I mean, I don't know if anybody's aware of the markup the markup definition of XML. If you look at lens profiles for most of the mainstream manufacturers, including people like Nikon and the P1000, P900, in fact, variable focal length is a little bit more difficult. So if it's a zoom lens, it's a little bit more difficult. I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm saying the standard profiles don't work unless it's at the extent of the focal lengths. But on a fixed lens, like a GoPro or something like that, the manufacturer will actually output the distortion map, which will de-distort your images. And everybody uses it. It's like really common knowledge. It is so simple to do. And the way that you can test on how well it does it is you can get perpendicular to a grid or your window blinds and see on a GoPro that they're all bent. And you know that's not how they are in reality. And just click the filter and they're all straight. Click the modification and they're all straight again. It's so simple to do.
And it is not only focal length, but also field of view, right? I mean, those two kind of the bigger factors on this lens correction.
They are one of the same. You derive one by the sensor size and so you derive field of view from sensor size and current focal length.
Right.
So you can't have one without, one is a derivative component of the other.
I guess a person too. Like if you're taking, like you mentioned, a grid. You got a big panel with a grid drawn on it, and you take a video. It's gonna look all distorted as of lines bulging and up and down and shit. And your lens correction is gonna look like an actual grid. I guess with people too. If you take a picture of person's face, even if the camera is moving around, and you do the lens correction, should give me what the person looks in reality without distorting too much on the face, like exaggerated noses or ears and eyes and shit like that.
He doesn't take out perspective, and what you're on out there is the perspective effect of you getting, someone's face protruding out visibly more due to a camera being close with a wide field of view.
Depth. So that's depth.
Yeah, that's not distortion of the lens. That's just a function of perspective. You cannot, and this is the important thing, you cannot fuck with perspective after the fact unless you have 3D depth data or what you call a light field camera. And then you can actually play with it a little bit, but no one has them like consumer-wise anyway, so it doesn't matter.
And last question, if it had any type of zoom, if it had any type of magnification zoom, the actual, whatever GoPro, it's just been altered and you got now a 10 times zoom. You could do a lens correction, but you need to do certain math before, and then you can plug in the amount of correction that you can make. Is that possible?
Yes. So the problem with variable focal length is your lens distortion map is from the widest aperture and the most use of the lens elements in surface area, and then it's just like applying a distortion grid to an image, and the manufacturer gives that out. Now, the problem with like groupings on a lens is when you, let's say, take a very simple lens, well, not a simple lens. Let's take a 70 millimeter to 200 millimeter. That will have multiple lens groups that sometimes move forward when you're increasing focal length, but beyond a certain point will now start moving backwards. Now, so the elements that it's looking through, the bit of the last lens element that it's actually using, fluctuates in a non-linear way. So it's harder to take out distortions with that kind of thing. And it's easier to do it with the extent. So if you shot at 70 millimeter and then you shot at 200, yes, you could do it because they're fixed. But variable, very complex multi-group lens elements do some amazing like mechanical stuff, which means it's incredibly hard. You can do it, but not in standard ways.
What if I now everything that you have spoken, I just sweep under the rug? I say I just want to disregard everything because what you're doing is manipulating an image after it's taken.
I can quite say that the camera manipulated the image after it was taken as well, so it was invalid at the point of hitting the sensor.
I appreciate it, man. That was awesome. Question, comment, concerns, guys. You guys are here. I'm gonna go on mute, away from the keyboard for a few minutes. Go for it. But before I go out, away, I just got a big $20 PayPal by Jumongus. Jumongus, you the man, brother. Thank you very much, brother. Biggest Douglas, now Jumongus, man. And he say S-A-Y. Jumongus say, Happy Cinco de Mayo to all them English blokes. May your chorizo be long and your huevos scramble. Viva Mexico! P.S. What do you call a Mexican arguing with a priest? Alien versus Predator. God bless, and I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Even Lel and Farmers. You're awesome. That was a great comment. I'm gonna copy and paste that over here into this.
Alien versus Predator. I love that.
That's great. You're looking out, brother. I gotta go to the bathroom. I'll be back shortly.
Good morning, gentlemen. What is on the menu for today?
Nothing. We're just chilling out. None of the idiots have turned up yet.
Yeah, they're over there arguing about time.
Really?
What is time?
Well, I mean, everybody knows that time is an illusion. Lunchtime.
Time, like every other word, is a made-up word.
Yes.
Right. Is time? What is is time movement or is it a measurement? Or kind of basically the same. Like, I guess their argument is that time is just movement.
So an easy way to describe time is early on it was movement, because it was just about everything's built from a day. And the day is the movement or the apparent movement of the sun through the sky in a revolution.
Right.
So it was easy to then start dividing that up. But that's like saying, well, let's stick to the caveman eras, whereas now we don't need to. You can define time as obviously, the angle of the sun through the day is the thing that defined how accurately you could measure this movement. But you don't just stick with that when you can get more accurate readings. Obviously, it's a big bright ball that's pretty hard to measure sometimes to look at directly and get a decent indication. But I would define time as the smallest change that can be observed that we currently can do. That's regular and known.
When I was in a music class when I was in like 7th grade, and the teacher asked, "What is time?" And I raised my hand and I said, "The distance between events." That was the best way I could describe it, and I think to me that's probably the only way I can describe it. It's like the time or the distance between when one thing happens and another thing happens. Just
that's a good way. I like that. Yeah, I like that. That's a really good way.
I mean, there's no other way to and can you really explain time without saying distance or time? Or
well, here's an interesting thing for you, B-Ball, and let's see what your answer is. Okay. So if we have two clocks and they're synchronized, and I go faster, my experience of time slows down. So that shows that movement and time are intrinsically linked, correct?
Right. I agree.
Right. So the faster I get to light speed, the slower time goes, and we could take that to an extreme, couldn't we?
Yeah.
So if movement is so linked to time, and we're experiencing time on the Earth, what movement are we experiencing that is linked to time? And if we took away that movement, would time be almost instantaneous for us? As in, because we're not moving anymore in relation to whatever time was bound to, let's say the fabric of space-time, does that mean that we experience hundreds of millions of years in a fraction of a second?
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, but would it be the opposite if we could? I mean, is that what you're saying? Like, if we could just slow everything down to not move at all, would there be no time at all?
Yeah, imagine my question, and it's a naive question that I do not know the answer to, is if we're here experiencing time now and measurable time, and we move faster, and that time slows down, then the speed that we're experiencing right now to cause time in the speed that it's going, can we take away that motion? Is it the movement of the galaxy? Is it the spin of the galaxy? Is it the spin of the solar system? And if we stood still, could we experience time like really rapidly and pass 1,000 years really quick?
Well, everyone experiences time the same. It's only relative to someone else's experience that it changes.
Yeah, so that would mean that if I could, so here you go, Truth Seeker. So my question is this. How do I decrease my speed from you guys so that I can jump to the future quicker for me?
Yeah, well, you just have to move. If you want to, you can't decrease your speed relative to us if we're moving at the same speed. Then we're moving at the same speed. You want me to move? I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I want to leave the Earth and stop so that you guys fuck off, but I progress time really quickly. How would I do that? That's my question.
Well, I mean, the problem is if you're in a different reference frame, it's relative. But when like the twins paradox, that has to do with acceleration when you're changing directions. is why that works for one twin ages more than the other one. The twin that left is younger when he comes back than the twin that stayed behind.
I got a comment to read over here. I just got back. Sean Smith for a $5 super chat. You guys talking about time, right? Time is a spice used in recipes. Sometimes it takes time to make things with time. Like and subscribe, people. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I do a chicken and I put time on it sometimes.
Yeah.
One
So
good way
my question, Truth, then would be this: if you see if this is a valid hypothetical, is let's say our velocity as a group around our galaxy is obviously an effect on the way that we experience time. And I was able to stand still for what is it, 4 billion years in a relative position to the center of the galaxy while you guys pissed off round it and then came back to meet me. There would be a huge time offset, wouldn't there? And I would have experienced time a hell of a lot quicker, correct?
I'd have to think through who's experiencing. I mean, you would experience time the same, but a different amount of time would go by for the two groups.
Yeah, sorry, that's what
I'd
I
have
meant.
to think about. Yeah, and I'm thinking that since you're talking about a rotation here, that in effect, if you're standing still, the Earth is rotating, accelerating away from you, and then accelerating back towards you in this kind of big motion. So I'm thinking that the Earth will be a lot older than you will. The Earth will have more years will have passed on Earth than will have passed for you. Would be. I have to sit and do some calculations to be sure about that, but that's my instinct on how that would work because the Earth would be the one because it's rotating around a galaxy. It's experiencing acceleration before coming back to you, and that's what differentiates the two reference frames when they meet again. Is which one experienced acceleration relative to the other, and so that the one that experiences acceleration is the one that experiences less time. That's why the twins paradox, the twin that comes back is younger.
Yeah, that I get. I just wanted to. I often thought just about that hypothetical of how do I move forward in time, quicker relative to someone else.
But this is one of the reasons that wormholes cause problems, right? Because why wormholes are automatic time machines, because then you can put a wormhole on a spaceship and go faster and like speed up and come back. And now these wormholes, if they're connected in space, are suddenly connected across time as well.
My head hurts now. I'm going for a paracetamol.
TikTok, motherfucker.
But the idea of connecting time and distance is interesting because it's a good way to understand relativity. If you think of yourself as moving through time and space at a constant speed, then if you're moving through space faster, you're moving through time slower. If you're moving through space slower, you're moving through time faster. So it's like a good way to think about it.
Where you been, Truth Seeker? You've been absent a bit.
My times haven't matched up with when you've had your show. I'm not on that much. I just kind of, right now I'm on a long drive. So when it happens to match up, I happen to look. I've been over at Gems a little bit, but I can't stand listening to Chemo's nonsense, so it's hard to stand it over there.
But if you move at constant speed, that holds true for all observers. Everyone see the other.
You can't stop moving. All observers are moving at some constant speed through space and time. But then exactly how that's divided up is a little bit relative, depending on what you're looking at.
You move in a certain speed relative to me. I see your clock move slower. You see my clock move slower. We're equal.
Right, but if I see you moving slower, I'm seeing time go faster for you. If I see you moving slower through space.
You can't see me move slower. We have a relative speed to each other.
Right.
Don't look at me how I move in space. You look at my speed relative to yours.
We pick a reference frame, and from that reference frame we set a clock and a coordinate system, and from that you can make these kind of conversations.
Then you can always only can compare to that clock, not to yours.
If I pick my reference frame, then I'm using my clock. If I
That's
pick
true,
your reference
but
frame, then we're using your clock.
right, and we both equal. I see your clock move slower. You see my clock move slower.
Yes. And if I'm in my reference frame, I'm not moving. You're moving.
Right.
In my reference frame, I'm still. So I think you're moving faster, which means your clock is moving slower.
Right.
I'm trying to be. I listen, a little. I caught up late because I was away, but I've been listening for the past few minutes, and if any of these can be practically demonstrated somehow, some kind of a test, observation, so this is mathematically what should happen, what you say
Yeah.
happens or should happen.
It's tested all the time. For the first thing, GPS has to work on this. You have to make adjustments for relativity because the clocks on the satellites go at a different speed than clocks on Earth. So when you do the calculations, if you don't use that, GPS won't be accurate. So there's a practical demonstration.
But you're talking for about billions of a second, right?
Yeah,
maybe if we mention that ahead of time, because sounds like it's gonna make a big difference in even our lifetime. If you got a plane flying at 500 miles over the earth without never stopping for 100 years, it wouldn't even be a second of a difference, I think, at the end of the 100 years.
Not in the time isn't a very big difference, but in the distance of the GPS, it becomes quite a big difference on how accurate your GPS is. It actually makes a significant difference, which is why they do it. So your GPS would be off. You'd be shown in the wrong place on your GPS.
So location might be a slight difference, but the time, abstractly, if we look at the time, it would be any difference because it would be billions of a second, and you need billions of those to make a second.
But the location is taken from the time. So that small time difference translates to a big position difference in the way the GPS signal works.
But the movement then is moving slower or faster is not due to time. It's due to distance or speed or something.
Well, no, it's like he said, it's relative. And if you think, Jose, it's not a small thing in our lifetime. I think it's a 0.02 millisecond offset, which doesn't seem like a lot, but that's 20 minutes per year. That 20 minutes puts you in another country. Actually, no, it puts you on another planet.
Let's see.
Millisecond, I don't think so.
Yeah, 0.2. Wait a minute, I'll have a look. Give me 2 seconds. I know it's about 20. I know it's about 20 minutes per year.
This is this atomic clock type of thing, right? I read about the atomic clock and I saw, seen some documentaries. I don't understand it well, but still, it would barely make any difference. That's what I think.
No, Jose, you're not. I can try to explain this a little better. Let's say I don't know how far away you are from me, and I know how fast sound travels. And you yell to me. You yell 12 o'clock really loud. At 12 o'clock, you yell the word 12 o'clock to me really loud. And then I hear the word 12 o'clock when you yell it to me, and I look at my watch and I say, "Oh, it's 12:01 on my watch now." And Jose said he yelled it at 12 o'clock. So I can now calculate how far away you are from me because I know how fast sound goes. And so I can tell you a distance we are now because you yelled 12 o'clock to me at 12 o'clock, and it took me a little while to hear it because sound takes some time for me to hear it.
Yeah, but I got confused because I thought you guys were saying the time will change. Something about time. Time doesn't change. You're just doing mathematically equating what the distance is because of sound. That's
but let's say our clocks are different. Let's say when you yell 12 o'clock, it's not actually 12 o'clock on my clock. Let's say on my clock, it's 12:02. So when I do the calculation, I'm going to get the wrong position for you. Unless I have a way to
Does
make
that
our
have
clocks
anything
match
to
up.
do with time or something to do with being, with being synchronized? Then it have anything to do
No, because the clock's,
with the time?
let's say my clock continuously runs at a different speed than yours, so it's always at a different time than yours. So I can't just add 2 minutes. I have to adjust it because it's the amount of time difference is continually changing.
So have
My
anything
clock
to do with time? Then it had to do with synchronicity. If we didn't synchronize in the beginning correctly, then it would be off synchronism. Okay, thank you.
No,
No,
'cause it runs
Jose,
at a
Jose, wait a minute, Truth. Jose, do you realize that if we have two clocks that are synchronized on the Earth's surface, and then we move one clock into even on an aircraft, or let's just say in geostationary orbit above the Earth, about 18,000 miles up, that clock is experiencing time differently to the one on the surface, so that when we bring them back together, there is a very real offset, even though they were synchronized to begin with.
What would the offset be? Give me an example that we understand. Days or years?
In 1 year, at GPS altitude, it would be a 20-minute offset. And if you think about light speed, that 20 minutes is obviously 3 times the distance to the sun.
And there are tests and experiments that have been done with this, right?
Yes, correct.
All right. And I'm pulling a link that you posted. Let's see what test or experiment is presented.
Stingray, do you have the I don't have it on hand. Do you know the distance you'll be off by locally if you don't take into account the relativity adjustment on the clocks? Is it like 100 meters or something? Or is it more than that?
I don't. It's whatever. It's light speed at 0.02 milliseconds.
Quickly about this paper. The author, this guy wrote this, right? I can look him up. You got more information about this guy? This David Saul son?
Oh no, I was just posting that because it gave the correct. It's about 7 microseconds per day, which comes up to 20 things. So, however, whatever the
But we need to
distance
know.
is-
I mean, this is a paper that some random dude wrote. Who is this dude? Because he's telling here this dude is this person and he got all these credentials. But how do we know that this guy is legit? Are we just trusting that just one guy? Like if I find a paper that say Bob Super Noodle Doodle is a super quantum engineer and he got all kinds of information, I'm just gonna believe because I find a paper on the internet.
All right,
We have more information about this guy.
Okay, calm down. There's one from an educational institute that's a little bit more in depth in reading and doesn't surmise it very well. But there you go.
I appreciate that. We cannot take things just on the face value because we find it and agrees with what we are told. You know, we gotta look into it. Shout out to Lemon.
Lemon still wouldn't accept any of this.
So here's the information. Now, let's see what the source of this article is. Who wrote this article? Where does it come from? It's from educationpsu.edu. Who wrote this paper? What else can I find? Just a paper saying me an information? Should I just learn this sentence and learn this paper and regurgitate it forward? Or should I just learn it and say, I understand this because the math makes sense, but has this been done? Who have done it and where is the source in here? Who is the trusted source who gave this paper and give this information? Please, go ahead.
Do you
I
actually?
don't know about the paper, but you can actually do this yourself. This is something some years ago I did.
Cannot do this myself. I cannot send a satellite. I cannot synchronize clocks. I cannot monitor this on myself. I cannot do this myself. I can only believe what this paper say without even knowing the source of who wrote this paper.
Actually, I can explain to you the part you can do yourself. What you can do is you can look at the.
But let's not obfuscate. Let's not go there yet. We're still in the topic of this paper. What is the source of this paper? Who wrote it? What is their credentials? Go ahead.
He doesn't know that, and I just posted it from an educational institute. But I posted another paper for you, which is actually example of an experiment. But I want to disagree with every single thing that you just said. You can't do this yourself. If A, you gave a shit, and
So
B,
we're not giving
you put in
information about this
effort,
paper. We just believe in this paper. Okay.
could
Good.
actually do it yourself.
So we're just brushing up that there's no information further than what this paper say. Is no sources about what this information come from. Got it. Thanks.
I just posted a paper, Jose, about from the University of Leeds with two prominent professors. So it's up to you if you want to read it.
No, that's good.
I'll post it on the chat as well.
If you are unable to give me the information in an easy way, you just don't understand the information. You're just posting a link just because.
That is correct. It isn't that I don't understand it. It's I can't be asked.
Thanks for playing, man. Appreciate it.
You ask for more and more in-depth information. Unfortunately, the papers get more and more complex.
All I want to know is who did this test, who wrote this paper. All of them.
Loads of people. There's actually, if you the PDF that I've just pasted in the chat and put in Daily Boom was done by a US team and a UK team in a northern town of Leeds, and you can read about what they did. And I love Leeds, so there you go.
Shout out to Leeds.
All right. Thanks. Yeah. If anybody is interested in looking into this, I don't even see a name of who wrote this article, where it come from. Yeah, I can read it and I can learn all of this and I can regurgitate it and I can maybe attempt to convince people that I know what I'm talking about. But at the end of the day, in this paper, there's no information on who did this.
Stop. Look at the link that I posted.
Another link.
Yeah, Peter Daly and ED.
So in the first two links, we're going to disregard the first two links. Let's open the third one. Go ahead.
The third one that actually supports it and is a educational institute paper with two professors on two different teams, one in the United Kingdom and one in the United States.
Thank you very much. I'm going to save this and I don't know, try to pick on it in another time. This is just a too long 12 pages paper that I'm going to be unable to or understand now or in a year from now. But thank you for at least providing something with sources of who wrote the papers and further information, more than the first two links that you posted, just because I agree with what you said earlier. Thank you.
You are very welcome. But I still maintain that what you said was wrong. You can still do most of this yourself. You can even look at the time offsets yourself. And if you experimented over time, if you experimented over a serious amount of time, you'd also be able to derive the drift as well from the packets, I believe.
So let's do that now. Yeah, do an exercise. What can a person like me, a normal and average Joe, do to test this on ourselves then? I'll try to understand it.
Well, if you can pull code from GitHub.
I had an eighth grade student test this himself. Yes, you can test it yourself.
Yeah, you can test it yourself. How? This is my question. Well, let's attempt.
I was trying to explain it, but you kept cutting me off.
Because we were still talking about the papers on screen. Now that we are past that, now we can talk about what can we do about it.
What you can do about it is you can build a receiver. The satellites are sending out signals which anyone can pick up the raw data from. And what the satellites are basically doing, all they're doing is saying, I'm here, it's this time. I'm here, it's this time. That's all they do. They keep shouting out that. I'm here, it's this time. And so from that, just like the example I gave, when you yell really loudly to me, it's 12 o'clock. I can figure out how far away from me you are. You can figure out how far away the satellite is by what time they're saying it is. And you can figure out where you are by where they say they are. If the satellite says, I'm here at this time, you know how far away it is, you can figure out where you are. The problem is, if you use the time they give you, you'll be in the wrong place. You'll be off by whatever it is. I don't know the exact number. If it was like 100 meters or something like that, that you'll be off by. But if you fix the time for relativity, you'll be in the right place.
So now, after you tell me you can do this and that, give me more information. What, where can I get any type of device so I can talk to these satellites and they tell me the time and what time frame, how many times a day or a month or whatever? Tell me, give me more information. You still didn't give me
Sure.
any details.
The satellites are transmitting the signals constantly, so it's constant. You need to find out the frequency they transmit on. I do not have that offhand.
With what? With
And you
what
need some
device?
sort of receiver. Anything that picks up a radio signal or whatever bandwidth they're in. I don't remember the frequency range that they transmit in. So
1500.
it'd be basically, in essence, it would be like a radio receiver type of thing. And then you would get that signal, and you'd have to the formulas for how it's translated to data you can find online.
So it's not what you say earlier that the satellite would tell me this is the time. You have to then decipher some kind of a coding so you can know the time. It's not the satellite telling me you have to figure it out, Obi.
Could I ask a question? I guess silence is good enough for a yes. So, are we saying then that the satellite is compensating for its slower running clock and keeping abreast of Earth time and transmitting the time, Earth time as it is at the point it transmits it? Or are we saying that it's transmitting its real time, which is then apparently running faster or slower to us due to its velocity?
The second thing, when you do the calculation on the ground, you have to make the adjustment. The satellite does not make the adjustment.
So it's transmitting the time, but that time is constantly skewing because it's not compensating for its own velocity, and
it's actually the gravitational field, not the velocity in this case. But yes.
So the receiver has to basically extrapolate back to years ago at the point of synchronization when the GPS was synchronized for a moment, and then add in that constant drift.
The drift isn't constant in that sense. You all you need to know is the Lorentz transformation from that time frame to this one that you can adjust for.
Well, maybe I'm not very good at this, so I'm not explaining my question well. So let's say one day the GPS yells out, it's high noon. 24 hours later, is it going to yell out high noon, or is it going to yell out high noon 0.00001?
24 hours later, it's going to yell out something besides high noon. For your 24 hours later, it's not going to yell out high noon.
And so it'll have a certain step, and then the next day it'll be off by that step again, right? More?
It's been a long time since I've done the math. It's going to be a constant drift. It's going to be constantly getting out of sync, yes.
Do they also get out of sync from each other, the satellites? And so does the GPS receiver have to basically keep track of how much each one is out of sync from Earth time?
Like I said, it's been a lot of years since I've looked at it. I'm pretty sure not. I'm pretty sure they're all at the same altitude. It's the altitude that matters because it's a gravitational effect, not a velocity effect. So it has to do with how far away from the Earth's gravitational field they are. And I think they're all orbiting at roughly the same altitude. You don't have to differentiate between satellites.
Well, sure, they're all at roughly the same altitude. They're probably even pretty close to the same altitude, but they're not at the same millimeter of height, statistically speaking, so they're going to drift slightly different. So they'll go out of sync, right?
Nobody cares.
Not exact. That might be small enough that it doesn't matter. That difference compared to the difference to Earth. That now you're getting outside what I remember, the details that I remember offhand.
Why do they care of the difference between them?
his point is valid. If they're out of sync from each other, you need a different correction factor depending on which satellite
No,
you're connecting to, and you
no,
have to keep track of today.
the only one you care about is you, not them.
No, you care about the difference between you and them.
Between you and them. You don't care what the difference was between them. They don't need to navigate. Use the GPS to navigate.
No, but if it's a different difference to each one, you would have to have a different calculation depending on which satellite you calculate.
No,
It's a valid question.
no, because all that you care is the difference between them and you. You're the user. You don't care how they see each other. It's not your concern.
Right, but if the difference is different, then you have different differences.
No. If I move in, you move east in certain velocity relative to me. I see your clock moving slower.
It has nothing to do with velocity. It's a gravitational effect on the clock.
No, it's both. I posted a graph. It shows you need to add both gravity and speed, and then you get the total. You can't dismiss speed and you can't dismiss gravity. You have to account for both. But if you move relative to me in one direction and Jesse is moving in the other direction, yes, and I know my position relative to you and to Jesse. I don't care how you and Jesse see yourself, because surely you don't see what I see, because you're moving greater speed relative to each other, but I don't care. I need you to know my position. You don't need Jesse to know your position. Jesse don't need you to know his position. You don't care about his clock.
Actually, the satellites give their 3D spatial position, so that will include altitude automatically. So that'll be taken account in the calculation now that I remember it.
3D.
So that's actually part of the calculation. They give their position, which includes altitude information.
Cool, but to who? Whose altitude? Whose time? Like you said, you set a frame of reference and you measure everything against it. How everything look to one relative to the other, you don't care. That reference frame is all you care about.
No, but Chaiki, I think the point is, when you get a satellite ident, you get its identifier. I think it's not WGS84. I think it's lat, long, and altitude, and for that you calculate the Lorentz equation. But the altitude, even on the GPS, well, I don't know about GPS, but I know on GLONASS or Galileo, certainly, I think that there are differences in the altitude, and I not that I've done it personally, but I think you'd have to calculate the time offset to know that the time that came in from that is not the same as, you know, the one that you're going to use to make up. Well, if you trilaterate, let's based off 5. There's a possibility that not all 5 are the same altitude, which means you need to calculate different offsets for each of them in a lookup table.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
okay. It's okay. I need to know each satellite position in the 3D space we decided on, the frame of reference. That's all I need to know. And their clocks.
It gives a different Lorentz transformation for them because of the different clocks on them.
That's fine. I need to know where they are and the time. That's all I need to know. Each satellite. And the satellite will give me its location and doesn't care about all other satellites. It's not the satellite concern.
No one is saying that satellites care about each other.
You said their clock will be not in sync with each other.
And yes, that does matter, and you take that to account from their position.
No.
That gets taken into account automatically.
No,
It does matter. Oh my God, you're making up a problem that doesn't exist. You're intentionally misunderstanding.
No, I'm not. You intentionally misunderstanding. You have a frame of reference. All you care is that their clock is synchronized with that frame of reference. How their clock get skewed from each other is not your concern. You don't care about it.
No, of course, no one's saying you care how they are related to each other in that sense. But because they're different from each other, you have to use a different time transformation on them, which you get from their altitude.
And their speed.
Boom! Shout out to everybody watching the show right now. We got 46 people watching. I'm gonna be another half an hour probably. Please hit the like, support if you can, check on the links, and join Discord. Carry on. Shout out to Flip Flop for coming in and bringing a little bit, planting a little bit of doubt over here about what's going on. Truth Seeker, what is your credentials, man? What do you, how do you know all of this about satellites, and why should I trust you about all this talk about satellites? I didn't hear any word. You're breaking up. You broke up. Maybe you want to start answering the question because we didn't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I heard that.
Can you hear me? Okay, I'm a math and science teacher at university. I've done research science. I have several degrees in math and science.
So, what does that have to do with satellites that you appear to be an expert?
I read up on how they work. A long time ago, I did an experiment with advanced when I was teaching 8th graders for a while. I haven't done that in a long time. But I had an 8th grader who wanted to make his own GPS. And so we looked into it, and he built his own GPS system. He used an existing receiver, and he looked into how to do the transformations for the signal. He got the raw data, and he converted it to a coordinate system, and he downloaded existing maps, but he calculated the coordinates himself on the map, and we were able to see that it was accurate. You could see where you were. It was like pretty cool to do that with an 8th grader. He was very into programming, and he was quite talented.
So you did an 8th grade experiment about satellites with 8th graders, and that gives you expertise on satellites. All right, makes sense. It's all good.
Well, I'm not an expert on satellites. I have read up on GPS specifically. I've also worked at NASA once. That was a long time ago, though, for a short time.
So you read up a lot?
I didn't actually.
Oh, you know who went to NASA to C4? Shout out to C4. He brought me a few shirts and a few good from the Moonman he brought me. So I guess he knows all about it too. Go ahead. Sorry, I forgot my train of thought when I switched.
My question is, why do flat earthers curious about time? They need to figure out the shape of the earth first before going into philosophical arguments.
That's a good question.
Because flat earthers will say any stupid thing possible.
Oh, my second point was because True Seeker read a lot about and he learned a lot about them. It's like I read poetry and Shakespearean poetry and books and like that, and I'm able to, from memory, recite Shakespearean, poetry. That makes me an expert in Shakespeare. Right? It makes sense. It's okay.
Bad analogy, but more likely, I read about something in an area where I have expertise. I was able to understand what I read, and then I implemented a project based on what I read with someone else.
But your expertise is teaching and math.
I've done science research as well, but I've done more math research than science research.
Yeah, okay. I'm still trying to put 1 + 1. Yeah, satellites require math, but that doesn't make you. It's like if I'm a car mechanic, that doesn't make me an expert in airplanes mechanic because you got the word mechanics,
No, I don't ever claim to be an expert in satellites. Like I said, I've read up on GPS and how it works, and I have the background to understand what I read.
But a lot of things that you're saying with authority, like you know what you're talking about, and you're correct. When all you done is you understand math and you learn a lot of things because you read them. So you learn those things that you read and you regurgitate them, like pointing, and you regurgitate them, like saying, like, "Hey, here, I know the words, I know the scientific terms that are in this paper. Therefore, I am the authority and I am correct because I am telling you word by word what the papers I read once.
No, that's not actually accurate. Like I said, I've done implemented a project based on it, which we verified was accurate.
So you did
as
an
well.
A-grade
I also
project
have
with
a lot of
A-graders,
other.
all right.
Jose, come on,
Yeah,
let's not
it's pretty basic stuff.
let's not run him off. I mean, come on.
I'm not trying to run him off, bro. I'm on my peak of my game today, man. I'm on point today.
Yeah, listen,
Yes, because the topic
don't mind
is so
Jose.
basic, an eighth grader can understand it. So because the topic is so basic, an eighth grader can understand it. If he puts his mind to it, I was able to do it with an eighth grader. Just needed some guidance.
All right. Well, we are here in the voice chat, and the audience is there, and they are able to determine what's going on. You know, I am able to determine from my perspective what's going on here. We are an expert on satellites here in the house. Boom.
I kind of missed part of the beginning of the conversation. I know when I first left, you guys were talking about time. So what's the topic now?
Well, Jose asked if there is any evidence, any test that was done.
I was told like, yeah, you can do this. So kind of, I was kind of explained. I can find these devices that can receive GPS signals. I can then break down this data that I receive from the GPS, do some math to determine the time. And that's kind of as far as we got. You say like, with time, then you're going to be able to determine that there's a time dilation difference type of thing. But we didn't finish. That's as far as we went. I can find a device. I can do some math to know the time that this GPS is telling me. First, I was told the GPS will tell you, is this time, it's 12:01, it's 12 and 10 seconds. But realistically, it's just a set of data that I'm receiving that I got to break down to know what the time is. So far, so good. But that's as far as we get. I didn't get what periods of time I have to do this, what length of time, of periods of time, what, how am I going to add this information there at the end? It was like very shy and very beginning of the what can I do. Stingray and Truth Seeker said you can do this yourself, but we didn't go too far. We went to the first step, and it's 10 steps to this test I'm doing myself. And that is a fact, unless you guys want to tell me different than what I just said.
That's fine. I can give you the next step if you like, or if you want to change topics, we could do that too.
No, we were arguing about the first steps. I mean, we never get past the first step. I thought you were going to tell me like this is what you do, this, and then we will break down maybe step by step. But we didn't get past.
No, what I heard was you started like kind of going at him, saying that because he does this, because he read a few things, now he's an expert. I think that's kind of where it went to. I'm saying.
Yeah, he went to that after we didn't move past the first step for like 20 minutes, and then we had to move on the conversation somewhere. He didn't never attempt to go back. Let's go to the second step, or let's go further. Let's continue, please. We never went there.
Do you want the second step?
I want. You told me I can do this, and you only got as far as the first step. I want to know how can I know myself? Anybody can. I'm still waiting. You don't have to ask me. That's what I asked you to do earlier, please. And you say like, I'm gladly do it, and you haven't done it yet. You don't have to ask me again. I already told you earlier that if you want to do it, I really want to listen how to do it.
Once you have the accurate time adjustment, and you know when you got the signal, you can calculate how far away the satellite is from you, because you know how fast light travels. When you know how far away the satellite is from you, and you know where the satellite is, if you have 3 satellites, you can get a pretty good idea of where you are by drawing circles around those satellites, and where those circles meet is where you are. You need four satellites for a better location, but 3 will give you a pretty good one.
You guys are making this way too difficult.
We need this data that we need about what speed the satellites go, how fast they are going. I mean, how fast they are going, what the distance from
You don't need
Earth.
the speed of the satellite.
Dude. So all this information that we need about the speeds of the satellites and the distance of them, we need to get that information from source. We cannot measure this ourselves, right?
No, the satellite tells you where it is. You don't need to know where they are. They tell you where they are.
Tell me, satellite tells me.
Yes, the satellite shouts out its location and time. That's all they do. They're yelling constantly, I'm here at this time. I'm here at this time.
That's what you told me in the first step. And in the first step, you told me that when I get this device, it's not going to have a speaker that the satellite is telling me what time. The satellite is still not going to tell me where he. Tell me it's through the voice telling me.
That's like when you listen to the radio, there's not actual words traveling through the air. There's a light wave traveling through the air that your radio turns into words.
So how do I know how far and fast the satellite is then? He's going to shout me. He's going to tell me. Can I choose the voice? Can it be a sexy woman's voice? The one who's going to tell me where the satellite
Come
is?
You can
on.
make it a sexy woman's voice if you want to.
All right. So this radio device, all right? Good. That's starting to make sense now. Let's go. And then we're still in the second step. There are 10 steps.
But what
So
we're
basically,
trying
you can.
test.
Go ahead, Chike. Sorry.
No, I forgot what the test is about. What we're trying to test.
Hey, can I say something? I only got a minute.
Go ahead, got it. Yeah.
Does it have to do with the topic?
Yes. All you guys
Okay.
are talking about is everybody is at the same time at anywhere you're at. We all have the same exact time at the moment, the current time, wherever it is, doesn't matter. What you're talking about is signal latency. And so the delay from the signal to get to the transmitters, to get to the GPS, whatever, to figure it out where you were and now estimate by your speeds and their speeds where you're going to be when they send the signal back. So they're actually probably sending a signal, putting you somewhere that you will be when the signal reaches you. It's just signal latency. That's all. It's not real time. They're trying to get to real time. That's what all the 5G stuff is about. But the thing is, if it was 5 o'clock exactly when the person sent the signal, when he sent the signal, it was exactly 5 o'clock for the person getting the signal, but he won't get the signal for 2 seconds later. So he'll look at, it's 5 o'clock in 2 seconds. And so he thinks, that guy's 2 seconds ahead of me. No, he's not 2 seconds ahead of you. You just got the time delay on the signal. It's signal latency.
Yeah,
That's why self-driving cars and GPS have to figure all those numbers in.
From satellites, that's only part of it. That's only one part of it. The other part is time dilation, where the clocks are out of sync as well. There's latency.
There's no time dilation. They're not out of sync. It's signal latency, and it just has to estimate where that car will be. That's why, since it's not real time and it's not perfect, that's why our GPS messes up quite often.
Gary,
Yeah, I only have a minute. I got to say a lot.
let someone respond, please.
You're provably wrong. You're provably wrong. It's an easy experiment to do. You could do it yourself when you get the raw data. Latency does not account for it. Latency plus time dilation is the only way you will get an accurate position.
Hey, Gary.
You're simply wrong. There's just the signal latency. That's all. It's that simple.
How are you telling him he's wrong?
It's not real time.
You have no
I'm telling him he's
idea.
wrong. I can tell. Yes, I do.
No
I know what I'm
idea
talking about.
GPS
It's signal latency. It's time delay. Even all of our seconds and stuff aren't perfectly accurate,
Okay,
right?
well,
you're
not going to get always perfect things, so we might have to account for that. But it's based. But if it's 5 o'clock exactly by me, it's all.
Hold on, wait, Truth Seeker.
My current time is the same as Jose's.
Wait, Truth Seeker. Let him get it all out really quick, and then you'll get your time to talk. Go ahead, Gary. Say what you're gonna say, and then when you're done, let him know what you're done. That way he can respond.
Oh, thank you, B-Ball, for your permission. I told you I only had a minute because I'm going to my next stop, and I'm just about there.
Yeah, it's good. You did good. Go ahead, got it.
So I'm trying to say a lot in a short time. Signal latency is all you're talking about. The time delay for the signal from the sender to the transmitters to figure it all out, where your location is based on your speed, where they're at, distances involved from elevation, because that's a different distance too. All those things are taken into account, and then it predicts where you're going to be when the signal reaches you after they send the signal. That's what it does. But they can't get it real time yet. That's why there's problems with self-driving cars still, because they don't have perfect real-time information yet. That's why they're putting in all the 5G transmitters for real-time information, or as close as they can get to it. They can't get it perfectly, evidently, because there's always a delay from the time I say something to the time it reaches your ear, even if you're standing next to me. So it's just signal latency. That's all there is. And they're trying to figure out all those things. And when they send the signal, it'll reach you, predicting where you're going to be when that signal reaches you.
Then you're saying that. Okay, so now it's True Seeker. Go ahead and rebut.
Go ahead, True Seeker.
So, you have absolutely no evidence for what you're saying. You're just talking out of your ass. All of the documentation on it supports what I'm saying. On top of that, I have personally gone through the calculations in 8th grade, as I said before, and it was visibly not working if you only took account of latency. If you had to take account of the relativistic effects to get an accurate location. This is practically and empirically verifiable. So I've done the calculations, I've built the device, and I've verified it, plus all the documentation supports what I'm saying. Whereas on your side, you have your opinion.
And I've just got to quickly make a correction to what Gary said. Autonomous self-driving cars haven't got problems because of GPS. Gary, autonomous self-driving cars use either LiDAR for 3D mapping and spatial awareness, or they use cameras, multiple cameras with parallax depth sorting and vision neural networks, and are acutely aware of their surroundings. Nothing to do with GPS, but thanks for your opinion.
No, there is signal latency. Even guys like Elon Musk will tell you there is, and that's part of the problem. That's why they're trying to install the 5G as fast as they can. They need as close as they can get to real-time communications for all these cars to signal with each other and talk to each other. When they reach that, that's probably the day where they have all self-driving cars and nobody will be allowed to drive anymore because you'll be a liability.
So the difference in the speed of a 5G signal versus, a 5th generation network signal. So we're on about, let's say, 30 gigahertz here, and a standard Wi-Fi signal of 2.5 gigahertz is insignificant for real-time communication. The difference is bandwidth. And in fact, at the 30 gigahertz band, the range of that is utterly shit. You will never get 5G crossing a highway outside of a town this side of our lifetime. So no, you're still wrong.
Except for that Elon Musk is putting that 5G in satellites above the Earth that will do it.
5G in satellites? Wait. 5G is it the amount of power you would need to have a 5G satellite is unreasonable. You can't mean that when you say something that stupid.
Now,
that's why he's putting in all that stuff in. You think he has no purpose for that when he's putting in all these self-driving cars? I guarantee he's got purpose. You ought to listen to him talk.
So Gary,
even though I don't like him,
just really quickly, let me just say this one thing.
Hey, I can't respond anymore. I got to get to work. I'm late, and I got to keep moving. I'll be listening though.
But just for everybody else in the audience, so they don't get fucking stupider, what Brian just said was absolutely correct. The amount of power required to get that signal the same distance as you'd expect on your Wi-Fi network is huge. And the only way to do it is to have a mesh beamforming network around cities. That's why you can't install just one 5G transmitter. You've got to install 30 that are all beamforming.
They're putting them up literally everywhere. I just had one put by my house.
So Gary, you're going to have to wait your turn and not interrupt Dean in the middle of a sentence. Got it?
But anyway,
screw you. Who was that?
He said he is
Brian,
great.
you said you couldn't respond anymore.
Doing a great job as a moderator, Brian Peck.
So anyway, the point is, Gary, that the power requirements, you wouldn't have them on a satellite. The range would be insignificant to get the signal down. 5G is not about latency, it's about bandwidth. And for 5G mesh networking to work, you need beamforming, which is multiple arrays of the transmitter. That, believe it or not, the beamforming bit, which is utterly brilliant, people should look into it, means time offset of the signal from multiple antennas converging on your location. And that's the only way it works. You can't do it with satellites, and it won't work across the desert. End of.
In 2 hours, I will be sitting down in the movie theater to watch the movie Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness, and I am excited, madness, and I'm excited because I'm a big fan of this. But
And just if anybody's
Hey,
interested,
Jose.
I have actually got a 5. I have got a. It's not 5G. 5G is wrong because people think that's 5 gigahertz. We've had that for ages in Wi-Fi networks. 5th generation is anything I think above 10 gigahertz all the way to 40. I've got behind me something that 5th generation networking is good for, is wireless low latency display units that are incredibly close. But here's an interesting thing. I've got an Intel variant behind me which operates at about 35 gigahertz, and it beams it beams directly into a wireless virtual reality headset that I've got. But that signal is very tight beam controlled and it doesn't go very far. I have to be in a certain cone, and if I step outside of that cone, it starts getting distorted. That's how shit a single transmitter is.
Let's also not forget that for some reason Gary was under the impression that time dilation would result in latency, when in fact the signal from the satellites would actually be ahead in time, not behind, because it's moving faster. So it would actually be decreasing the latency if you're just doing a second to second measurement.
I got so many questions. Well, I remember, I don't know, 2 years ago, I did a show about a time atomic clock. It was really, kind of in this neighborhood of the topic. Because this delay and these things is slightly different to the time changes. Depends on the how further away from the earth you are or how fast you're going. I don't know. I just have to disagree. I just need some more of a concrete evidence of that being have been done at any time. And I don't know, man. We need to entertain this a little further. I need to come in with more of a clear mind, having eaten well in the beginning, because I'm in this mood that I call bullshit. Time just doesn't change. If I synchronize a clock in here perfectly at a specific time, and I put this clock in an airplane, in a rocket, and I send that rocket and it flies around for a whole year at 20,000 miles per hour, it comes back down. For me, these two clocks are going to still be exactly the same by the millisecond. So I don't know. That's how I feel today, and I don't think I'm gonna learn. I'm not allowing myself to learn anything today, and I'm gonna obfuscate till the end for those who tell me that it does happen. Sorry, Stinger, I'm gonna present your script.
Jose, you got a lot of background noise. Sounds like
Yeah, I know.
wind.
Yeah, I know. It's the fan. It's really hot in here. That's why I'll stay on mute when I'm not speaking.
You should maybe angle the fan down, not at your face.
No, it has
Your
to be my
microphone is?
face, bro. It has to be
Oh
my
my
face.
goodness.
That's why I'm staying mute when I'm not talking.
Jose, I can say two things to what you just said about the time dilation. One, when it was proposed, a lot of people felt like you did. I mean, like scientists thought it sounded like nonsense, but eventually, for them, the evidence became overwhelming. And the second thing I'll say is that people are trying to prove it wrong every year. There are constant experiments going on by scientists to find problems with it, and they haven't been able to do it yet. But those experiments, that concrete evidence you're talking about, is really, really, really advanced physics, most of it. That would be impossible to explain in any way simply. It's just not possible. It's just very advanced experiment.
So one day we're gonna have to revisit this and attempt to explain it somehow. If anybody is able to explain this or present something coherent that laymen's like all of us can understand, then I just gotta take their word for it, because I don't understand it, because it's really advanced. Therefore, it's true. I don't see it that way. I'm sorry. Stingray, you're up on screen. You got a cool phone there, man.
I just found an iPhone 3GS and I've just put charge in it and it works. So I just thought I'd share because it's awesome.
That's why I say school is old school, man.
The daft thing is, this still feels quite I mean, it's a little bit slow, but it's not a bad experience, this, to be fair.
God, is that the 4S?
Oh my god, no, the 3. 3GS.
Yeah, I think he said 3GS.
Oh, it's not square enough for a 4. Never mind.
Yeah, 3GS.
Yeah, I would get an iPhone only if it had an Android operating system.
Well, we're not
Same here, man.
we're not all acutely aware of technologies, and some people are quite naive, so I'll have to forgive you for that one, people.
Same here, bro. One of the best phones that I had was the Galaxy S, series, the 9. Fucking
Here's a question for you though, B-Ball. If
Yeah.
I'm both an iOS developer and an Android developer, and I use an iOS personal phone, that should tell you something.
That you're not perfect.
Yeah.
That's good.
I just don't like I don't like the fact that I'm limited so much when it comes to Apple.
Limited how?
So let's say I have a home screen, right, and I have a picture on a home screen, and I just want to have the apps around the picture, so it's not blocking the picture. I can do that on Android. I can't do that on iOS.
You mean like a widget? But yes, you can now. So that's fine.
You can now.
Yeah.
So I can put the apps anywhere on the screen I want.
Yes, correct. But it's a very weak thing. It's a very niche thing. That's like saying, I want a car that's got 5 wheels because occasionally the ground underneath hits the center of the underneath of the car. It's like, well, yeah, fine, you could have that, but it's not required. But yes, you can do it anyway.
Yeah.
On which phone though? Because
It's taken them 7 years, but
Yeah.
now Apple can do everything Android did in terms of the little convenience features.
Yeah, just little things like that is why I
That is indeed
I
a
move the
very
apps around.
indeed, B-Ball. That is a very little thing and incorrectly stated as well. But have you got anything else?
Does Apple has a Play Store, like the Play
Readable
Store?
memory.
Yeah, they do. They got the Apple Store.
So
No, not the Apple Store, the Google Play Store.
yeah, so no, it doesn't have the Play Store, but it has all Google apps on the App Store, and the App Store is a lot more curated than the Play Store and a lot more security conscious. There are less malice and malicious apps on the App Store than there are on the Google Play Store.
Can I install?
Yeah,
Can I
I'd agree with that.
install third parties apps from just out of the interwebs?
No, you cannot, and that is a security.
That's not- yeah,
well, actually,
That's a
I
piece
suppose-
of shit phone. That's a piece
Damn,
of
that's
shit
where it
phone, man.
fails. That's where it phone. That's where it fails. Yeah.
Calm down. I'm going to answer. Let me stop being flat earthers and let me answer correctly. The answer in a long way, in short, no. In long, yes. So no, because Apple curates it very tightly, which means they don't want people taking over their devices and causing malicious harm or anything like that. Yes, as in if you have what you call a signing certificate and or you jailbreak the phone, you can do anything you want with it anyway.
Do
But
you
you
have
void the warranty instantly.
Do you have administrative capabilities? Can you go to the administrative and change the settings and also tweak it so you can, you just unlock it and unlock it for different
Yes.
services?
Yes.
Yeah, but you have to jailbreak the phone.
To some extent, it depends what you want to do. I mean, put it this way: a jailbroken iOS device is a lot more customizable and capable than a Android device, because Android is built foundationally off what you call AOSP, the Android Operating System Project, and that is tightly controlled to some extent. You can contribute to it, but it is tightly controlled. Whereas iOS is actually a subset of BSD Linux. And if you get down to it, you can literally do anything you want because you're never supposed to get to the foundation of it. So if you jailbreak an iPhone, you can do a lot more than you can on a a Linux-based Android phone.
Could you use your phone as a desktop computer?
I can sit here right now and give you a demonstration where I can be using the keyboard and mouse that I've got right now on my Mac Pro. I put the iPad anywhere on my desk, and it can move my keyboard and mouse to the iPad and vice versa. And I can plug my iPad into any of the monitors and just use it like you would a normal computer. So yes, in many different ways.
So you could plug up your iPhone to a monitor
Yes.
and have and also plug up a mouse to your iPhone and have the cursor show up on the screen.
Bluetooth mouse, yes.
Okay.
There's a poll screen. We're gonna stay another 15 minutes. And when 15 minutes, please try to vote. Which one is better? We're talking phones, mobile phones wise. Android or Apple or other.
What
I
about
think there's Windows
upgradable?
Phone and other stuff. Other, so I put the option. Please vote. Right.
Well, what about upgradable memory? Because I don't remember an iPhone ever having an SD card slot.
No, correct. You don't have an SD card slot.
Oh, has Apple finally got picture-in-picture or split-screen capability?
It has so it branched twofold. So on iOS, you can have picture-in-picture and you can have floating window video playing.
God, it took
Unfortunately,
y'all long enough.
yeah, unfortunately on the iPhone, they don't allow multi-window, but on my iPad Pro that I've got sat on here, yes, and it does so much. So, I can view three things. Not only that, I can universally drag and drop with genericized file types better than I could on any desktop computer. So yes.
Are iOS apps still mostly written in Objective-C?
No, that is a stupid, hellish, wrong spawn of the devil. And I even failed to acknowledge its existence at one point.
I wrote QiOS apps in Objective-C and said never again.
Yes. Now everything is Swift, and Swift is a lovely, lovely new language that's awesome.
All right, let's try to wrap up what we talked about today. First question. This is kind of a personal question, but I just want to know who got more triggered by me today, my alter ego, by my flip-flopping today. I think people.
I think I kind of did a little bit because the gentleman was talking about his credentials and then what he did, and you kind of came at him asking him, well, how do you know? Because you read some. Yeah, that kind of did trigger me a little bit.
I did. That always gets somebody.
Now, to be fair, like all I'm hearing is a voice on the other side. So I don't know. This guy could be completely fucking lying about what he's talking about. So I mean, again, all we're hearing is a voice on the other side. But I mean, you still have to know what you're talking about in order to enter some of these conversations, because people are going to check you and see exactly if you know what you're talking about. You know what I mean?
But that's what I attempted to say earlier. I could say that I'm not, but let's say this is the analogy that I use, that I'm an expert in Shakespearean poetry and text, because I have written all the Shakespeare books. I learned by heart by reading and rereading all the texts. Does that makes me an expert because I read everything written by him and related to him?
I mean, but that's how we learn. You learn by reading. Some people learn by reading. Some people learn by doing. You have to read. Can't look at pictures and. Well, I guess you could learn by looking at pictures, but I mean, if you read a bunch of things, yeah, you could be considered eventually. If you read enough, learn enough about it, I guess you could be considered an expert. And then you just take the next step, and you actually get hands-on, and that just, you just gain more experience in that field.
Let me give you a different analogy. If I grab Android phones, yeah, perfect. Now, Android phones, and I since the first Android phones came in, the little single ones, I open them up. I can break them apart. I can take all the little circuits, break them down, and put them back together, and sew them and fuse them together, and then close it. I got it on again. Hey, my phone doesn't work. The neighbor was an Android. Let me see. I open it up and I say, all right, yeah, this one looks a little kind of dark. Let me take this one out, put it together. If I am able to learn all the Android phones up till today, all the modern ones, and change the parts and put it together and able to fix it, does that make me an expert on Android phones, even though I have no fucking idea what these little circuits and breakers that I'm switching
Well,
are?
I guess you could say you'd be an expert at the mechanics of it.
No,
Putting together,
no,
taking apart. No, you disagree.
It would make
absolutely
you a
disagree.
competent repairman. That's about it.
Okay.
Yeah, or
Okay.
a very lucky individual fucking with electronics.
Right.
Okay.
I did that one with the big fat TVs back in the day. I fixed a lot of TVs and VHS for the neighbors and
What's your-
for me.
what-
I had
so
no
what's the
idea what I was
definition of
switching, but I was
expert,
able to
though?
fix them. Sorry, if you want.
What makes a person an expert though? Like
So I would, yeah, that's a fundamental question because everybody will have a different idea of what expert is. So my definition of expert, because no one ever taught me 3D graphics, visual effects, or indeed programming, or any kind of software development or technology. I learnt it through brute force and just me. Now, in some people's eyes, I am not an expert at anything, but I will take the Pepsi challenge against anybody for 3D graphics, visual effects, or software development or anything like that.
so being an expert would just be experience, right?
No, because you can be. I
No?
think you no, because I've worked with, especially in games, console games, when you have teams of like hundreds of people on a game project. I've known many people with lots of experience that are utterly useless. And if you say, are they an expert in their field? I would say, fuck no.
So you have to be like a subject matter expert,
Yeah, I would.
know everything.
Now, my definition, if you're asking me personally, my definition of an expert is someone that is professionally proficient to a comprehensive degree in that field, in a certain top percentile that you would want working for you. That would be my expert. If that isn't, if they're not, then I wouldn't class them as expert. But that's just my opinion.
Yep. The person who has the highest number of points and experience for playing Heimerdinger or League of Legends is a bronze level. Actually, no, it's an iron level player, which makes him one of the worst players in the entire world. Raw experience doesn't do it for you every time.
So would an expert be someone who has experience, like let's say in one particular part, like plumbing? If one person has experience in plumbing, but he only has experience in one part of plumbing, like I don't know, soldering the pipes together. He's just an expert in that. And he doesn't know anything else about the business. Does that not make him an expert, or is it just?
It makes him a pipe monkey.
No, if he knew everything about plumber on residential houses only, not on big buildings or condominiums and shit like that. He just work in houses, small houses. That he can be considered an expert in residential plumbing.
Yeah, I mean, the definition is a person who is very knowledgeable about or skillful in a particular area. So, I guess that would make
Does that have to be a broad area though, or could it just be one area of that?
I think it could be anything.
That thing.
Yeah, I think I could be, an expert celebrity masseuse, only with female celebrities or something like that, in a very narrow niche of only like Jessica Alba or something like that, and I could be an expert at Jessica Alba massage.
Flip flopping. Am I an expert on flip flopping? I think I am. I think I am. I need more practice, but I think I'm becoming an expert on flip flopping.
Like,
Let's do some final thoughts. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
No. You're good. Final thoughts.
Yeah. Let's do some final thoughts. Need to get ready and do what I gotta do. We're gonna leave a little bit earlier. Big shout out. Thank you for the few support on PayPal. Biggest and Jumungus hit me up earlier. Got a few dollars I can stop at McDonald's. I need a decent McDonald's meal. Hey, don't be hating on McDonald's. The Big Macs are good for it. C4, thank you for coming in. You got some final thoughts for us today? How about Chaik? Final thoughts.
Yeah, time dilation is not for flat earthers, certainly not for Gary, who does not even understand what we're talking about. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hold on says reading doesn't teach you anything. Understanding what you read is the thing that counts. All right, and we got the results of the poll. 23 people only voted. I put the poll late, but 60% of the people prefer Android, 34% with Apple, and 4% with other. So yeah, it's not a big margin, but slightly over half of the people voted they prefer Android on the audience that was watching. Earth is Life, final thoughts.
Yeah, I'll go back and listen to the rest of the show. Yeah, I'm gonna be an Android person forever because I just prefer the operating system over Apple all day. Yeah. Now, if you give me an iPhone with I love iPhones. They look beautiful. They feel beautiful in your hand. But I'm sorry, I just can't do it. Anyway, good show, and I will be listening. If anyone stays in the after show, I'll be there listening, maybe contributing, and yeah, that's it.
Thank you very much. My personal experience, I had my first Android phone. I had it for like a year when the good cell phones came in years ago. Then after that, I got me a Windows phone. Never seen it before. I just saw it like this looks really cool. Let me buy it. I liked it. I used it for like maybe 3 or 4 months, and then I didn't like it anymore. When I couldn't get the apps that I did in the Android phone and certain little things, And then I went back to Android. After that, I loved the Android forever. While my sister is an Apple, she got iPhones, and my nieces. So most of my family got Apples. I'm an Android guy. I used their Apple phones, their iPhones. Just didn't like it. Even hated the iPod. The iPod. What was for to listen music? I bought me an iPod once, and I fucking hated it. I gave it to my sister as a gift, and I bought me a cheap generic MP3 player with SD card. I preferred that over the fucking iPod. That's my other guy. Gary Way Venga, you got final thoughts? I will not give movie spoilers at all until like a month from now, until I give everybody a chance to see it. I will give an overall review, non-spoiler review of if I like the movie or not. Everybody is every movies are subjective to the people that see them. So I might love a movie, you might hate it. So I'm just giving you my perspective of if I enjoyed the movie or not. No Name, final thoughts. Mars Mushrooms.
I've got 2 words for you. Squeaky Earth.
Hell yeah. Did I give final thoughts to Brian Peck?
I wasn't here for the time. I wasn't here for a second.
Go for it, man.
I wish I had seen the rest of the show, Jose. Unfortunately, I caught it at the very end. I will say this on the Android versus iPhone debate. Go with whichever one you're comfortable with. They're both good. Personally, I'm an Android guy, mostly because I enjoy having the new innovations as they come, not 4 or 5 years later when Apple finally figures out how to put them on their technology. That's all I got to say.
Shots fired. Thank you, Brian Pegg. Appreciate it. And the Stingray. That was a jab to you, man. Final thoughts.
Brian, I hope you're sticking around after this fucking show ends, by the way. And I just want to say that I've got an iPhone 3GS here, released on the 9th of June 2008. That's over 14 years old. I've just connected it to my wireless network, and I'm now browsing the internet on it. That is testament to Apple engineering. Now, I'm not saying Apple's brilliant, but having worked and used personally and professionally on both platforms, there are some things that I prefer on Android, but predominantly as a user and security experience, I prefer iOS and Apple. And a very recent testament to that is my father is now going under heart diagnostics for arrhythmia detected on his Apple Watch, which also gave him echocardiographs to send to the doctor, about 30 of them over the course of a week. So, yes, point to me an integrated system that will do shit like that, and I might consider swapping. But until Android catches up and is able to moderate the environment's hardware and software, then no, it's Apple, I'm afraid. Cheers, Jose.
Thank you very much. And shout out to Truth Seeker for coming in and hanging out with us too. It was fun. Don't be a stranger, man. Come back for more more punishment from the flip-flop. Thank you very much, everybody. Check on the links on the description box. Leave a comment in the comment section. Support each other, support content creators, behave yourself, and take care of viewers. Jose JD out! Boom.